Level 1, the Newcomer. You found the flyer on a telephone pole outside a laundromat. It said, "You already know something is wrong." That's it. No website, a phone number. You called it. You are sitting in a folding chair in the basement of a house in a suburb that looks like every other suburb. There are maybe 30 people here. They seem normal. One woman is a nurse. One man taught high school chemistry for 20 years. There is good coffee, and someone brought a dish of something that smells like your grandmother's kitchen. A man at the front of the room speaks calmly. He doesn't shout. He doesn't wave his arms. He talks about the news. He talks about the feeling you get when you read it. The feeling that something enormous is coming, and nobody around you is taking it seriously. He says that some of us see it and some of us don't. You are clearly someone who sees it. You drive home. You sit in your car in your driveway for 20 minutes. You go back the next week, and the week after that. This is how it starts. Not with fire, with a folding chair and good coffee, and someone finally saying out loud what you've been thinking quietly for years. Level 2, the Seeker. You are attending 3 meetings a week now. You've been given a name inside the group, a new name. Something that means one who wakes before dawn in a language you don't speak yet. You are learning the language. An older member tutors you on Thursday evenings. The theology is coming into focus. The world as everyone outside understands it ended on a specific date 7 years ago. Not in fire and rubble, in a spiritual sense. The old architecture of reality collapsed. Most people don't know, because most people are still sleepwalking inside the old framework. Like a man still sitting at a desk in an office building that is already burned to the ground. He doesn't smell the smoke. You smell the smoke. That's why you're here. You stop watching regular news. It's explained to you that the news is the dream of people who don't know they're dreaming. It will only confuse your signal. You nod. This makes sense to you. You had been feeling confused by the news for years. Now you know why. You tell your sister about the group. She asks some questions you don't have good answers to yet. You tell her she probably isn't ready to hear it. She looks at you with a face you don't like and file away to examine later. And then don't. Level 3, the Initiate. The first ceremony happens at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, in the woods behind a property the group owns in a county 2 hours from the city. There are candles. There is a specific breathing exercise that lasts 40 minutes. By the end of it, you feel something real and large moving through your chest. The leader speaks. You have not spoken to the leader directly yet. He exists 3 levels above you in a structure you are only beginning to understand. But you have heard his voice on recordings every day for 2 months. And his voice at 3 a.m. in the woods is the same voice, patient and low and absolutely certain. He says the ceremony marks your formal entry into the time after. You are no longer operating on the old calendar. You are free of it. You drive home as the sun comes up. The suburbs look different. The people driving to work look different. Not bad, just asleep. You feel something close to pity. You feel something closer to relief. You were one of them for so long. You are not anymore. You put in your resignation letter the following Monday. The group has a working community on the property. You have been invited to join it. They explain that money inside the community is pooled. This is because money is a concept from the old world, and you are building the new one from scratch. You have $14,000 in savings. You transfer it to the community account. You pack 2 bags. You drive the 2 hours. You don't tell your sister where you are going. This is safer for her. Level 4, the Laborer. The property is 40 acres. There are chickens. There are 2 large vegetable gardens. There is a dormitory building, a communal kitchen, a meeting hall, and a smaller structure at the far end of the property where the leader lives and which you do not approach. Your days begin at 5 a.m. and end when the work ends. You tend the gardens. You fix the fences. You carry water when the pump breaks, and it breaks often. You are not doing this because you are forced to. You are doing this because the labor is purification. Every hour of work burns away another layer of old world thinking. This is explained to you in the morning address, and it makes sense in your chest in a way that might not make sense written down. The food is good, but not always enough. You are not supposed to notice this. Noticing hunger is a signal from the old framework trying to reassert itself. You breathe through it. You do the exercise. You earn no money. You have no money. The $14,000 is already elsewhere. Level 5, the Keeper. You have been on the property for 14 months. The leader's inner council has noticed your work ethic and your ability to stay calm when new members arrive scared and overwhelmed. You have a gift for explanation. You can take the theology and make it feel like something the newcomer almost already knew. You are made a keeper. Your job is the folding chairs and the good coffee. You run the intake meetings in the city twice a week, the ones held in basement rooms with flyers about something being wrong. You know how to read the room. You know who is genuinely awake and who is just lonely. And sometimes you understand that those are the same thing. When a newcomer asks the harder questions, you have better answers now. You have 4 years of answers loaded in sequence. You know which answer to give at which level of the journey. You know the questions that need redirecting and the questions that need to be met with silence and a hand on the shoulder. And I remember feeling exactly that way. You are very good at this. This feels good. You write letters to former members who left the property and returned to the old world. Some of them were your friends. The letters are warm and express no judgment, but their purpose is to invite them back. You know their purpose. You write them anyway. Level 6, the Warden. There are 200 people on the property now. The community needs rules or it needs someone to enforce rules. You are that person. Not through violence, through information. You know every resident's history, their outside family situation, their doubts, their specific attachment to the old world framework. You learned this through intake meetings, through confession sessions, through being the person people talk to in the kitchen at night when they can't sleep. A man in the Northeast dormitory has been making calls on a phone he was supposed to have surrendered. His sister has hired someone, a group that calls themselves Exit Counselors, which is the old world's name for people who come to steal sleepers back to the dream. You handle it quietly. A conversation. A reassignment to a work detail on the south end of the property, farther from the fence. He stops making calls. The situation resolves. You file nothing in writing. You understand now that the community needs a membrane, something that lets good things in and keeps the contamination out. You are the membrane. It is necessary work. You believe this. You mostly believe this. Level 7, the Interpreter. The leader does not speak to the community every day. He speaks through recordings and occasionally through his inner council, of which you are now a peripheral member. But there are matters requiring active interpretation. When two senior members disagree about a doctrinal point, they come to you. When a keeper misapplies the theology during an intake meeting, you correct it. You have read everything the leader has ever written. You have heard every recording. You can tell when something is being quoted accurately and when it is being paraphrased in a way that shifts the meaning, subtly, by 1 degree. 1 degree becomes 10 degrees over a year. You are the correction mechanism. The role gives you something you did not expect. Doubt. Not in the theology exactly, in the edges of the theology. The way it keeps expanding to explain anything that challenges it. A member's child gets sick from the water on the south end of the property. The water is not tested because the old world's concept of water safety is part of the framework you are all dismantling. The child gets sicker. You bring this to the council. The illness is framed as a test of the child's integration into the new world. The child is 6 years old. You write a second note. You are very careful about how you write it. You use the language of the theology. You find the argument inside the framework for why an exception is warranted. The child receives medicine brought in from outside. She recovers. You tell no one how that happened. Level 8, the Elder. 7 years on the property. You are one of 9 elders. You sit in rooms with the leader. You have heard him speak without the recording, without the ceremony, without the 3 a.m. woods and the candles. You have heard him speak, tired, irritated, uncertain. You have watched him revise the theology to absorb a prediction that did not come true. The old world was supposed to become visible to the sleepwalkers on a specific date in the fall. The date passed. A new interpretation was developed overnight and delivered to the community by morning. You helped write it. You know what you are now. You are not a believer exactly. You are something more complicated and harder to name. You are a person who has built their entire world inside this one. Your savings are gone. Your sister stopped trying to reach you 3 years ago. Your skills are theological. Your references are internal. The outside is not an option you can see clearly from here. So you do the work. You sit in the meetings. You write the interpretations. You manage the membrane. You protect the community from the things that would break it open, because breaking it open would leave 200 people with nowhere to stand. You tell yourself this is care. Some days you believe it. Level 9, the Voice. The leader is ill. This has not been announced. You are one of 4 people who know. The illness is serious. The theology has no provision for the leader dying because the leader built the theology and did not include his own death in it. You are writing the provision now. You are writing it carefully, in his voice, which you have studied for 9 years, until it lives in you like a second nervous language. When he is gone, you will be the voice, not the leader. The leader is a permanent and necessary figure in the framework. You will be the interpreter of a man who is no longer alive to be misinterpreted. You will be, in a very specific and permanent way, the membrane between what he meant and what the community needs him to have meant. You sit at the desk in the small building at the far end of the property. Outside, the community is working. Chickens, gardens, morning address playing through the speakers. 200 people building a new world on top of the rubble of the old one that only they can see. The document in front of you is 12 pages. It is the most important thing you have ever written, and no one outside this fence will ever read it. You pick up the pen. You finish the work. This is what 7 years inside a folding chair and good coffee and someone saying you already know something is wrong eventually becomes. Not fire, not revelation, a desk, a document, a pen, and the long, quiet business of keeping the dream intact.